A warm welcome to Business Today. Thank you so much for the pleasure of your time. We are coming to you live here at Port 42 Nile Avenue and online at Smart24 TV. That's our YouTube channel. I'm Rana Habwe together with Winnie Wiiza Nakauchi for the sign language interpretation. Before we get right into it, here's a quick look at our top stories tonight. In Business Today, due diligence reveals ghost Russian company and digital number plate deal. War over NTR ensues as Otafire distances itself from global security company. Uganda-Kenya Connect eyes more investment prospects. Intra-tourism figures suggest cohesion between Nairobi and Kampala. More in Business Today, Kabale farmers seek 2,000 shillings per kilogram from current 1,500 and better seedlings. Brewing giant Nile Breweries pushes for financial literacy and promises raise as well as better seedlings. You're welcome once again. Thank you for joining us. We now begin with a deal of lies. The Minister of Internal Affairs, General Kahinda Otafire, has openly asserted non-existence of the joint stock company, Global Security, that was contracted to expedite the digital number plate deal. The same deal has sparked war over non-tax revenue, as a Russian company will be assuming its capital expenditure from the non-tax revenue as the obligation that has primarily been invested in the Uganda Revenue Authority. Take a look.
More shocking revelations continue to befall the committee which is investigating digital number plates. The legislators expected General Kahinda Otafire, the Internal Affairs Minister, to have knowledge of the global security company, but to their surprise, the minister denied the company and even assured the committee that the digital plate system is not operational in Russia like the officers had earlier alleged.
The team that was in Russia for the due diligence, did they also cover the issues regarding the integrity and the existence of this company? As far as the report is concerned, did they ever bring out
nothing in the report? The highlights of the report was they didn't see that the system is not existent in Russia. They didn't see any manufacturing of the number plates, and that they were told the number plates were being manufactured in Poland. That's all they covered. They said there is no application of this system in Russia. There is no manufacturing we are able to see in Russia. If it is there, they didn't show it to us. Then they said the production was being done in Poland. I've never seen anybody from global what? Security. Global security.
Yeah.
Never. I've never seen them. I don't know how they look like. Never talked to any of them. I don't even know who is behind them.
General Kahinda Otafire, I'm disappointed in you specifically. General, they put you in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The General Kahinda Otafire I know. They put you in the Ministry of Internal Affairs.
What do you know about him?
General. He's a general. He's one of the compatible generals we have here. He's one of the generals I've been respecting, by the way. Because in any ministry general has been going to, he has been having the ministry in his hands. General, you are put in the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and then such happens. They go into the system of your country.
Yeah, we should interact with the Ministry of Security again. They should bring those people who went to do due diligence in Russia, whereas they did not do it. They were just doing their own things. And on the issue of manufacture, I'm really so disturbed. We have Wava, who is manufacturing number plates. If they wanted, they would just be bringing their company on board and put the chips, closing our own. These companies, closing our own, bringing in these Russians. That was very, very unfair.
According to General Otafire, he tried to advise the president through a letter about the said company, but is not sure whether his letter has reached the president because there are fears about the global security system hacking into the country's security system, which will be problematic for all Ugandans.
I'm unhappy about the cost. But unfortunately, I'm the one who determines the cost. I have heard about the cost in the press. Nobody has brought it to my attention to address. So my role in that aspect is limited. As for the manufacturing, Like I've said before, I advised the president. I wrote to the president and suggested what you are saying. I highly doubt whether the president ever saw my letter. I suspect he has not seen the letter because the president I know would have written back or would have called me for a conversation.
But the minister is telling us he's not aware. Number one. Number two, Chairman, I asked here that this global something company from Russia, how did it come here to Uganda? Who signed a contract with these people? The minister says he doesn't know. The other question is, the minister says that you have disengaged the police from any activity with those people, but they are still in charge of those cameras.
If they are still in charge, I'm going to punish the police.
When it comes to non-tax revenue going to be collected, the team from Uganda Revenue Authority up to now have not yet received responses to revenue sharing. These were shocked to learn from the legislators that government of Uganda is only going to receive 15%, with Global Security Company taking 80% of this share.
As we indicated in one of our writings, we wrote asking for clarification on what would be the revenue sharing, and we have not received any response.
Where would this money go after correction?
Now, that is the guidance we need, whether it would be shared between government and the technology provider, or all of it would go to the technology provider.
But even at the point of correction, you correct, for example, URA, currently when you correct,
Yes.
Where do you put this money?
Now, Honorable Chair, what we collect currently goes direct to the consolidated fund.
Now,
because the whole thing is fake, we all know it. We all know it is fake. It's fake. It is for personal interest of some people, and these commissioners and heads of department, well, they have no way of refusing anything. It is imposed on them. They are pains even to tell us that at the end of the day, while we have been expecting to get 29 trillion, we shall get possibly 25. Because these express penalties, when you bring in a private person, he will be really strict to ensure that money is secured. But currently, the money is not forthcoming because some people pay this tax.
Whoever is in this deal knows his percentage. Those who are saying they are taking 85 because the chair has intimated something which the Commissioner General has not had. Commissioner General, we are telling you, this company is supposed to take 85% of the revenue collection. I'm sure your people are saying they have not had, but they have had. Because if for us who have not been in meetings are aware, then what of those who have been in meetings? They are taking 85% of this collection. But your people are not aware. But now the implementation is a month from now. And they are going to implement. But you have not received even the account on which this money is supposed to go.
The committee is expected to be done with their report next week, but they have requested an audience from the president because they have letters indicating that part of the non-tax revenue going to be collected will be going direct to the office of the president. Sam Lanifa, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
Wow, away from that, we'll now look at innovative solutions. Beyond support for the digital transformation roadmap, United Nations Development Program, partnership with Kabaale University, has unleashed project for new business incubation center. From the initial allocation of $60,000 to the subsequent funding of $200,000, the new hub aims to provide students and community members with access to essential resources, nurture innovators, and guide them on acquisition of key market essentials such as intellectual property for commercialized innovations that seek African trade. We have details.
UNDP's commitment to support transformative projects has further been exhibited in the newly unleashed project for a hub geared towards business incubation in Kabaale. The partnership with Kabaale University has registered an extra $200,000 away from the initial $60,000 to support regional business incubation. According to LC Atafo, UNDP country representative, universities have a crucial role in fostering innovations that can contribute to global transformation.
I mean, things are moving so fast, especially innovation and digitalization, that you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We perhaps be flying now, I don't know. Because artificial intelligence is there with us. It's so fast, robotics, machine learning, everything, mobile technology, things are going so fast every day, you don't know what to expect. But it's also a great opportunity for us to be able to do something in an era where we have technological advancement, digitalization, innovation at speed. What can we do? And somebody, I was in Next Media the other day, and somebody was saying, look, shared a few things with me around even content creation.
As per the university, the Regional Innovation Hub shall provide platform for innovative ideas befitting current market demands and still create markets for subsequent products.
To provide workspace, mentorship, education, and access to funders, provide adequate resources, support obtaining of the intellectual property, and support the commercialization of the innovations.
All this will boost us, and we hope to take off and be able to move and develop it into a bigger long-term innovation center.
While incense for seamless trans-African trade grows, as highlighted in the African Continental Free Trade Area, this has been represented as a unique opportunity for the region's economic growth and development. Innovations linked to harness the potential of continental trade have been called for, positioned as drivers for continent change.
I want to touch on the issue around trade, which is of a regional nature, particularly in the context of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. I don't know how many of you know about it, but African countries are saying enough is enough. Let's trade amongst ourselves. Yeah. We have a 1.4 billion market.
To the upcoming entrepreneurs and labor force, emphasis should be put on robust innovation, expanding the drive to other institutions for gross impact.
As UNDP, if you can lend a hand and you bring experts and you bring those people to give testimonies who have successfully made it in life through UNDP, then we can transform our nation and the youth.
UNDP further evokes higher institutions to design strategies that encourage creativity and yield actionable solutions that further link with sustainable development goals.
The poverty levels are still very high. Still at midterm, we still have huge gender gaps. And in fact, the study or the report that was launched by the Secretary General says, at this rate that we are going, it will take 281 years for us to bridge gender gaps. And so we are far away from 2030. We have a lot of people who are still using fuels that are not environmentally friendly. Children are still not going to school, and we can go on and on and on. So that's one. At midterm, we are not doing well when it comes to the SDG, despite the progress that has been made substantially in some areas.
Upon completion of the center, students and community at large await access to productivity workspaces, mentorship, education, and potential investors to support their innovative efforts. Norbert Ndiamhachi, Brenya Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
We now shift our focus to broader microinsurance. Uganda has a relatively undeveloped insurance market, and there is a clear potential for expansion, particularly through microinsurance. As the country awaits enactment of the National Health Insurance Scheme, microinsurance companies have started associating themselves with established financial institutions like banks, telecom companies, to easily access the unserved Ugandans, especially in rural communities, with products starting at just 1,000 shillings per month. Take a look. In 2018, a study by Making Finance Work for Africa suggested that health microinsurance could enhance insurance adoption in Uganda, especially if the country avoids implementing a mandatory national health insurance system. Affordable microinsurance policies could provide a comprehensive coverage for the underserved populations, serving as a promising approach. The 2022 Insurance Annual Report shows a slight decline in revenue from 0.657 billion shillings in 2021 to 611 billion shillings in 2022, prompting collaborations like IO Insurance with banks and MTN for market access, without appropriate methods backed by minimal capital requirements.
Like the regulator will tell you, working very closely with them, we're able to actually price at a point where the benefit also makes a lot of sense from an actuarial perspective. But the intention really is to make sure that the products are affordable to the end users, because we know the market we are dealing with. Not everyone can afford, expensive products. But how do you then reach to these customers who have previously been unserved by simplifying and designing products that they can afford, and also figuring out a way of distributing those products through partners that they're already working with. If you work with a bank, for instance, Centenary Bank, and you take a loan from them, or you have a savings account, if they come to you with an insurance product of 1,000 shillings, it will be very easy to buy it.
For conventional insurance, the capital requirements are a little bit low. And going forward still, we are revising it, but still it will be lower than conventional insurance. And some of the other requirements, like for principal officers, audit committees, control functions, they are at a lower level. So that encourages investors to come in and invest in the market.
Without appropriate methods to cope up with financial shocks, 14 million low-income households are pushed into poverty every year due to out-of-pocket health expenditure, which the State Minister of Investment and Privatization demystifies.
To access credit or access money or grants. And that's why we started the Parish Development Model. But this is putting money in the pockets of the people, but they will not remember that they actually have to get insurance. They will not remember that, because they will remember when people get money in my villages, what I see them do is that they will remember to get the second wife, third wife, but not remember that they have to save money for death, health. Most cases is health, and then we start selling our buildings. I know of even prominent people, when they fall sick, they sell everything, because then they do not have money to sustain themselves in those hospitals. So that is where health insurance comes in.
Further research reveals that Kenya's insurance penetration stands at around 3%, which is twice that of Uganda's meager 0.8%, remaining below 1%. The regulatory authority has pointed to this as a hindrance.
Penetration here, which is approximately 0.8%, compared to our counterparts Kenya, which I think are around 3%. Kenya has a national health insurance scheme, which we are still developing. We are assuming that once we also do our national health insurance scheme, it will further increase our insurance penetration. If we do more sensitization here in the country, we will also be able to increase our insurance penetration. If the IRA and other stakeholders improve on them, I know if you look at the progress reports coming through, the claims ratio is high, but even that, they are trying to pay the claims. They have tried to pay the claims actually. They can still do more. If you work on the claims payment, more sensitization, also introduce the National Health Insurance Scheme, we insure government assets, and then we also try to ensure that people in Uganda appreciate insurance as a fallback position.
Uganda and Kenya tourism sector players have collaborated in a union that envisions extra investment and sector growth. The effort has thus culminated into initiation of the second Uganda-Kenya Coast Tourism Expo, seeking joint marketing strategies and linkages that further tap into employment opportunities in the tourism and travel sector. Take a look.
East Africa still ranks highly among the world's top tourism destinations, and the sector has in turn contributed substantially to regional GDP growth through export earnings, foreign exchange and employment. While Kenya's tourism revenues surged to 268.09 billion shillings in 2022 from 146.51 billion shillings in 2021, marking an impressive 83% growth, Uganda's tourism earnings reached nearly 2.7 trillion shillings, accounting for 12.2% of total exports and 41.4% of service exports. As both countries anticipate the joint tourism expo, there is growing intention to create synergies and explore more tourism opportunities through joint marketing strategies and linkages, tapping into employment opportunities in tourism trade.
Promotion of tourism, trade, and investment. So in this regard, we have prioritized the promotion of tourism cooperation between Uganda and the Kenya coast.
Our brothers in Kenya and Mombasa at that tend to understand business better than we do, and I must also say have got a much better appreciation of money issues than we do. When you have a partner who is thinking about turnover, return on investment, chances are you'll also find yourself doing much better than we are doing.
Last year, an impressive 150,900 Ugandans visited Kenya. Of this figure, an impressive 22,200 individuals explored Kenya's coastal treasures, marking a significant upsurge from 10,100 visitors recorded in 2021. Kenya stands as Uganda's foremost source market for tourism. On the reverse, last year witnessed an impressive 376,294 Kenyan visitors gracing Uganda's diverse attractions, indicating an impressive upswing of over 40,000 tourists compared to the previous year's 326,387 Kenyan visitors. This exponential growth suggests mutual allure and undeniable connect between the two countries to facilitate exploration and investment.
We know that Uganda has the biggest coverage of mountain gorillas and chimpanzees. Kenya doesn't have these packages, so it can be worked in a way that whatever is unique for Kenya and for Uganda can be put together to complement one another.
Between Uganda and Kenya coast has been aided by the improved air connection between Uganda and Mombasa. Currently, Uganda Airlines operates 3 routes, weekly direct flights between Uganda and Mombasa. This is complemented by daily flights by Kenya Airways through Nairobi. Moreover, it is also possible to travel between both countries by road.
According to Lady Ajarova, UTB Chief Executive Officer, environmental sustainability still remains crucial despite growing efforts to draw sector growth which highly relies on environmental sanity.
It's a big market for Uganda's tourism, but beyond the region, beyond our domestic and regional market, the international market, the trends are changing. It is sustainable tourism. We cannot ignore what is going on with the climate change, the environmental issues we are dealing with. The international tourists beyond the regional market want to hear, want to see package that takes care of sustainability.
With a mutual goal of maximizing their coastal region's tourism potential, Uganda-Kenya Connect seeks to benefit both economies while expanding tourism diversity. Bronya Katsime, Smart 24 TV, Business Today.
That report will usher us into a short commercial break, but we will return with more. Stay with us.
Smart 24, driving business.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. The taste of Uganda, yeah, the taste of Uganda. The taste of Uganda.
And in talking news, MTN has improved on their data voice bundles. You can now call across all networks for the same price. We've talked to several eyewitnesses on the ground, and this is what one of them had to say. Amos, did you hear about the MTN daily voice bundles? So, to join many more other Ugandans enjoying these MTN daily voice bundles, dial *100 *21 hash or use the My MTN app to start enjoying. Stay tuned for more offers from MTN.
In a world where trade drives economic growth and development, Africa is now embracing a new era of intracontinental trade through the African Continental Free Trade Area to unleash its immense potential. Witness the spirit of entrepreneurship as African businesses forge a way into partnership and venture beyond their borders in a single African market. Discover the innovative solutions being initiated and created to address challenges and seize opportunities in sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, and technological advancements. We expand our lens to showcase the efforts and success of economic integration across the entire African continent, from West Africa to East Africa, North Africa to Southern Africa, Central Africa, and even the diaspora, as the tapestry of unity grows stronger with each story we tell. African Perspective, driving business and trade across Africa. Don't miss the African Perspective on Smart 24 every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at exactly 6 p.m. East African Standard Time as we drive business and trade across Africa. Download the Smart Digital app on Play Store and enjoy your favorite TV shows, documentaries, and radio in your palm on the go.
24 Driving Business.
We'll be back from that short commercial break. Thank you for sticking with us. Just joined us for business today, and let's move on with cheap barley in Kabale district. While barley prices still lie below the 2,000 shilling mark, highlighting just how cheap most agro products are, farmers in Kabale district are worried about the raw prices coupled with poor quality seedlings. As Nile Breweries, one of the region's biggest brewing industries, organized the Farmers' Day to enforce financial empowerment, farmers seek a revision of the market price to at least 2,000 shillings per kilogram from the current 1,500 shillings. Take a look.
As per August, wholesale and retail barley prices per kilogram remain below the 2,000 shillings mark. For Western Uganda, where Nile Breweries finds lucrative market to source the essential product for brewing industry, barley farmers in Dora West County, Kabale district, are demoralized by the 15,000 shillings per kilogram that Nile Breweries pays. The price has been described as excessively cheap compared to other crops like wheat, maize, and sorghum, seeking a further increase to about 2,000 shillings per kilogram. As per August, wholesale and retail barley prices per kilogram remain below the 2,000 shillings mark. For Western Uganda, where Nile Breweries finds lucrative market to source the essential product for brewing industry, barley farmers in Dora West County, Kabale district, are
The issue of the price is that barley has been at 1,550, yet we want it to be at least 2,000. Wheat is now at 3,000, so that's the challenge we are currently facing.
In response, the Nile Breweries Director of Legal and Corporate Affairs, Emmanuel Njuki, claims that the company is aware of all market difficulties. Despite plans to raise the price, they are currently only in position to maintain the current market price mark.
Ebirime ebirala nga kasooli nga ng'obumonde olunsi sente ziba nnyingiko okusinga barley. Enjawulo eriwo nti nno ebiseera ebyo newankubadde ng'olunsi birinnya naye olunsi bikka ate akatale tekali stable ng'akaffe nti nno twakkaanya nabo era ekisuubizo ekyo tugenda tukikuuma emyaka 14 era tugenda kikuuma nga buli bbale yenna gwe balima tumugula naye era tukimanyi nti nno abalimi bonna.
We promise to buy this barley. The market is stable. Much as barley is not priced like other crops, we shall see what to do. Era emyaka egino 14 tubadde tugenda twongera omuwendo gutugula barley. With agro-production largely reliant on ecological zones, as it is with coffee, cotton, maize, among others, farmers have noted an extra challenge in regard to seedling. According to them, barley seedling in use are not resilient to the weather in Kabale, particularly during the rainy season. According to Njuki, while farmers should consider other cropping, the company is attempting to set a range of seedlings to identify those that work best in Kabale district. The brewing giant intends to deepen its production capacity by empowering local barley farmers, just as the agricultural team lead for Western Uganda confirms increase the output due to on-farm production.
This that we've done as a company because we feel it's closed the gap on lack of access to savings and credit. However, as a company, we are looking to on how we can progress from this level by linking these village savings and loans associations to bigger financial institutions. Why? We feel the village savings and loans associations also have certain limitations. The working capital.
Over 1,000 farmers in the region have been equipped with financial literacy skills, fostering planning, budgeting, investment, bookkeeping, and saving by the brewing giant. Credit management has also been blended to manage and grow business finance. This story was compiled by Norbert Ndemhachi and Padson Mumbere for Smart 24 TV Business Today.
Thank you for that. We now look at sustainable cities and communities. With partnership from Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, KCCA, Ministry of Works and Transport, Teens, Training, Education and Empowerment for Neighborhood Sustainability, a local NGO is on track to support sustainable urban development considering environmental and social equity. The move is part of the big fit to achieve sustainable cities and communities, one of the key development goals that can only be achieved through joint initiatives such as climate and environmental protection. Take a look.
Kampala's shift to a smart city has registered extra support from the Climate Protection Movers, Training, Education and Empowerment of Neighborhood Sustainability, a local non-government organization. Through partnerships with major stakeholders such as Kampala Capital City Authority, the Lands Ministry, SEDAT and UN Habitat, among others, the Unleashed Invisible Spaces intends to attract social environmental equality to achieve SDG 2 that regards sustainable cities and communities.
We know majority of our people or citizens walk and cycle, but we don't have infrastructure, the correct infrastructure for them. We don't have facilities for them to walk and be safe. Something that is affordable, is very accessible, can actually create connectivity and those things. So the invisible space idea is basically to bring on every other form of creative. Let it be an artist, an architect, an urban planner, a builder, like a mason or a fundi, because they're already doing things out there, but they're not recognized in any way. So by having this space, it identifies them, connects them, but also creates collaborations in terms of how they can actually be able to develop their own programs. So,
with the green economy a major component in sustainable development, achievement of SDG 2, smart cities and communities are linked to gross efforts for conservation of the country's natural resource capital such as wetlands, forest, coupled with adoption of renewable energy.
You not only add value to your community, but the country at large. Still, people in government, private sector are still party to this development. Therefore, we want to raise the future generation in a supportive environment.
As cities transform and increase in number, urban planning becomes crucial to achieve sustainable cities. Thus, methods that advocate for implementation of transport models such as non-motorist transport through key policies remain critical. Public transport and emissions reduction, with the transport sector a major contributor.
Done quite a lot. That we've shared our ideas together with the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. That is actually being probably translated through the USMID funds, to see that cities are able to translate this in a practical sense, like creating a road network that has a pedestrian lane and a cycle lane. It's a very practical thing. Together with MPA, I think we've contributed to the National Development Plan 3, where we actually have demonstrated how pedestrianization can actually be integrated into the public transport system. So,
by addressing advocacy for ecological and natural resource equity in light of climate justice, climate literacy and heritage education among young people are expected to push sustainability further.
All right, that story leads us to the end of Business Today. Before I sign out, here's what topped our focus tonight. In Business Today, due diligence reveals ghost Russian company and digital number plate deal. War over NTR ensues as Otafire distances itself from global security company. Uganda-Kenya Connect eyes more investment prospects. Intra-tourism figures suggest cohesion between Nairobi and Kampala. More in Business Today, Kabale farmers seek 2,000 shillings per kilogram from current 1,500 and better seedlings. Brewing giant Nile Breweries pushes for financial literacy and promises raise as well as better siblings. Well, there you have it. That's pretty much it what we have for you tonight. Business Today. Thank you for having joined us. I'd like to implore you to join us again tomorrow for the same time to be able to watch the latest business news within the region and, of course, in Uganda. Mrena Nahabwe, together with Winnie Wins and Akaochi for the sign language interpretation. Good evening.